All righty, welcome to Spokane Talks Live. 87 degrees outside here in downtown Spokane. Beautiful sunny day all day long today, really. And other than that, we have a great show set up all of hour going on here in the studio. Kirstin Davis from the Better Business Bureau will be here joining us in the studio. And then Tom McGarry from McGarry Law Office will be here. And Ben Wick from Splash and the Current magazines will be here to talk more about that. And, of course, this week with Pia Hallenberg. Pia is back from vacation this week. And at the end of the hour, we will have Spokane Valley Summer Theater here in the studio joining us, talking about their upcoming production, The Secret Garden. So we have a jam-packed show, and we hope you'll stay with us. We have Kirstin Davis next on Spokane Talks Live.
For the Inland Northwest's most comprehensive sports report, think outside the porch with spokesman.com. For just 99 cents for the first month, you'll enjoy unlimited digital access to the news and sports news that affect you most. From EWU to WSU, from Northwest Preps all the way to the Seahawks, we're the local authority that makes sports in the Inland Northwest different than the rest, better than the rest. On your phone, on your desktop, and on your tablet. Subscribe to the digital experience with spokesman.com.
I'm Lexi Dyson. I am an archaeological technician for the Tahoe National Forest in California. Archaeology is perfect for me. It kind of combines all of my loves: history, my love of culture, my love of arts and science. As a girl, you don't really get told that science is for you. Like when you look on TV, you always see men in lab coats. I was a freshman at North Central. Randy James was one of my biggest cheerleaders. Randy was one of the first people who told me that you are good at this, you can do this. His favorite phrase that he would say to us that really stuck with me is, Yato, you are the ones. We're the ones who are going to make the difference. We're the ones who are going to make the change. You really start thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, we are. I am the one. I am the one that's going to do this. The work we're doing in Tahoe definitely is going to be here for good. Our purpose here is to preserve things and to make them last, to be here for good, for those future generations to enjoy. I love the variety of it and being able to see things that nobody else really gets to see, and having that touch of history and connection to people in the past. I am helping people by preserving their own heritage, their own resources. One of the things I love about SDCU is using the SDCU mobile app no matter where I go. It could be here in Tahoe National Forest, I could be back home, or it could be clear away across the country. I've been so impressed by their willingness to help and just be there where I need them to be, basically. It gives me a sense of home, even though I could be 3,000 miles away, 6,000 miles away, which I have done with SDCU, and I've never looked back. I'm Lexi Dyson, and SDCU is here for good.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live. Kent Adams here and Kirstin Davis. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
From the Better Business Bureau.
Yes, I'm
Right.
back again. You can't get rid of me.
Well, that's almost like it's once a month or something. Well, it is. Second Wednesday of the month.
Funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. Hey, a lot going on, including social media scams.
Yeah.
What's the latest?
Well, we had an unfortunate situation. We have a victim actually out of Coeur d'Alene.
Okay.
And he was contacted by a friend on Facebook that didn't end up being
A
who
friend.
they said they were.
Okay.
And
there's a lot of that going on, isn't there?
There is, and this week we've seen a lot of those. Don't accept friend requests from Jaden Smith.
Yes.
That's the one this week.
Or John Jacob Jingleheimer's
Yeah,
step.
exactly.
I got a message about that. Don't accept the...
Yeah. And kind of my rule of thumb now, just personally,
Yeah.
is that if you see those messages either, come up in your news feed or as messages in your messenger box
Right.
2 or 3 times, that means it's probably not authentic. Would
Well,
be the best
and
way
I
to
get
put it.
requests to be a friend from somebody I'm going, I already am a friend
Yes,
with them.
and
And
so
that's a telltale sign.
Yeah, that is a telltale
Yeah.
sign too. So what happened with this gentleman is that it was a person that he believed he was communicating with. It was an old friend. And it had to do with money that was, some winnings that were available.
Oh, sure.
And unfortunately, the red flags were there, and, it's always 20/20 hindsight, but he did not pay attention to him at the time.
Is this an older gentleman or?
He's in his mid-50s.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
As I like to say, old enough to
That's young
not be
to some of
naive,
us, okay?
but young enough to be with it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was scammed out of $60,000 of his inheritance.
no.
Yes. And so it's just a reminder.
Like, that's a hunk of change.
Yeah. And it's just a reminder that the flags are always there,
Yeah.
and all the things that you've heard me say, but
Right,
it's,
right.
I clearly I can't say them enough.
Apparently.
Is that if make sure you know who it is. Ask questions. If someone friend requests you and you're not totally sure, see who your mutual friends are.
Yeah, do you remember
first.
back in such and such?
Yeah,
Who was our best friend?
Or who would we kind of be associated with together? Because I know,
Right.
having grown up here, it's like, did I go to high school with them? Did I go to
Ye-
college with them? Did I
exactly.
work with them? Did I play sports with them?
And I think we're really bad about accepting people as friends. So we're like, I don't really know who they are, but they look like a decent person. So they
Exactly.
accept. But we really shouldn't. If we don't know who they are and we don't have mutual friends,
Right.
probably not a good
And, when social media, was kind of getting going, it was cool to have a lot of
Yes,
friends,
yes,
followers,
yes.
right? That's a
Yeah.
good thing. But now we're finding out that you want to be a little bit more
Gosh, yes.
A little tighter on
Yeah,
your-
a little tighter on that. So go to your privacy settings, make sure that you lock those down, that people can't just see all of your friends, that kind of thing, because then they can't put two and two together as easily.
Okay, you said privacy settings. What do you mean by that? Because
So,
I don't
yeah.
know that I've done that.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what you want to do is make your accounts private, and this doesn't just apply to Facebook, because it's kind of the most, I'd say, mainstream. But
Okay.
whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat, you want to make sure that your settings are private. So there's a settings, gear that you can go to in the corner of your
So
account.
unless they're a friend and you've authorized it, they can't really get into your
Right, but you have to go in and say, I only want you. They have different categories.
Right.
Only my friends can see it. The friends of my friends can see it.
okay.
Or the general public can see it.
But at least go look and figure this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What is the default? Do you know?
It's typically public, I believe.
Everybody.
is.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to be hit by everybody.
Well, it just means that, and I think we have this idea that, that the only people who are seeing your stuff are the 200 follower friends that
Your
you have.
friends,
No.
right.
The reality is that it's out there. It's public for everyone to
Yes.
see until you say, no, I only
Because
want my
then
friends.
if one of your friends likes it, then their friends
Yeah,
are shown, okay, that friend liked a post that you were tagged in.
exactly.
And then everyone can see it.
But it's not not a problem for you because you don't have any friends.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
600 and
Colin has more
Yeah,
friends
I
than
know.
We're not counting.
But that is important to keep in mind, because
Yes.
we get in this mindset that you don't realize. But your public your profile picture, though, that is always public.
Okay.
So make sure
It's a
whatever
matter
you're
whether
putting
they
on
can
there,
dig in past that.
past that,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So
Wow.
that's important. The other red flags were there. They went from contacting them to then text messaging. So it kind of takes it offline, which is a little bit more difficult to track those people
Yes.
down. So then it went to asking, or it became financial. So it started going into money, and then they started getting very aggressive. Where's that next installment? We can't do anything until that next installment comes. And in fact, he even went to Western Union to wire transfer the money, and Western Union said, you shouldn't be doing this. We don't want to do this for you because a lot of scams are coming.
good for them, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And he talked them out of it and said, no, I know this guy. It's a real thing. I mean, he was so sucked in.
Wow.
And
Makes it believable.
absolutely. And that's what the scammer, they play on your fear, they play on your emotions. And what happened is eventually he started to feel like he wanted it to be true so bad because he didn't want to have it not be true. That
Right,
he was
right.
digging
He was
in.
into it too
He
far.
was digging in.
Yeah.
And so that's that it's just so unfortunate and we just hate to see that happen.
Yes.
But we so appreciate that he shares his story because I think
That-
we all
that
think that
takes
could never
courage.
happen to me.
That takes courage.
And
from-
then that leads into another thing. I know a lot of people have their phone number and their website and all these different things posted on in their profile.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't even know that I want my phone number
No.
where
You don't want your-
anyone can contact me
or-
on my Facebook page.
Right. Or your date of birth.
That's
Or
why he
even-
put
even-
my
even-
phone number on his page.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Not
'cause
kidding. He
that
did.
gives them
that
a lot
makes
of
sense.
information. All those little
Absolutely.
things. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to look at all that information that anybody or whoever who can see it can see
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
So it's important. So yeah.
Really is. Hey, we're down to about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
The question I have is, there's something about a torch award?
Yes, there
All right,
is.
this sounds like a hot topic.
Flaming hot.
Okay.
So
What's it about? This sounds
well,
exciting.
Yeah,
does. It
every
really
year,
does.
every year, Better Business Bureau awards a Business of the Year.
Okay.
And we cover 6 states, so we actually break it up to different regions.
good.
So you're not competing with all of the
Well,
states.
that might be tough to compete against Seattle, for
Well,
instance, or something.
Sometimes, but we have presence in all those areas, so we want
Right.
to make sure that businesses are being acknowledged
Mm-hmm.
where they are. But we have expanded it this year. So we have Business of the Year.
Okay.
Then we have Charity of the Year.
Good.
And then we have Employee of the Year.
Ah, okay.
So we're kind of expanding it so that we know that all these things make the world go around.
Yes.
And it's a really simple process. The nomination is just to get on there and nominate who you want to
Okay.
nominate. You can self-nominate. So if you
Okay.
feel like you're doing a good job, you do not have to be an accredited business. You
Okay.
just have to talk about how the 8 values, how you
Right.
exercise those. Just go to bbb.org/Northwest,
Okay.
and there's a torch award graphic there at the bottom. You can just click on it and go straight there.
Great.
And the nomination process is open until August 14th. And once you're nominated, then we send you the application.
Ah, okay.
And then that
have to
takes-
explain yourself at that
Well,
point.
yeah, that
So-
gives us a little bit more detail.
Sure.
So it's voted on by the people, though.
No, actually, we have judges in each region
Okay.
that read those, that understand what we're what
What you're
the-
trying to
goal is.
accomplish. Yeah.
well, and
Right.
the 8 standards of trust and
Right,
things
Yeah.
like
right.
that. So, but we it's just a phenomenal way to recognize the Eastern Washington
So
winner.
when do
was-
you then do this?
That will be the actual award will be given, I believe, in mid-November.
Okay.
Not totally sure. of
Okay.
that.
So
But-
let's plan to have the winners on.
Yeah,
When
that
you
would be
come
back.
great. Yeah,
Wouldn't that be
yeah,
fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, last year though it was in Lake Chelan, which darn, I had to run up there.
Oh.
But yeah, absolutely. Anytime we can get them together, and that'd be great. We'd love to do that.
That's great.
Well, and I think it's so neat that the charity,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and that can be any 501c3, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
yeah. They just have to. It's not a difficult process, and we certainly want to
Are
recognize.
you thinking of some theater by any chance? Okay. Yeah. That's great. And the nonprofit sector is such an important sector in our community.
It
It really
takes
is.
it takes everybody to
It does.
have
It
a
does.
healthy community.
Kirsten, thank you. This is good information. I
that
learned
is.
something about the settings thing today.
I'm gonna
I
get
learned
my
something
phone
every time
out.
you're here.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Yeah.
So
Well, in the meantime, while he's doing that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Tom McGarry to talk about landlord law after this. Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live. Hope you're having a good day. 87 degrees outside. How high is it going to be today, Collin?
I'm thinking about 90 degrees.
Thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't know?
Well,
Oh, that's right. You're a weatherman, and you don't have to tell the truth.
well, yeah, you don't have
just
to
have
know all the time,
Yeah.
just some of the time. 90 degrees, though. Fairly
Hey,
warm.
You know, we've started this Meet the Candidate series.
Yeah.
And for the primary, we've included all of the contested races where there are 3 or more candidates. And I'm pleased to say that Tom McGarry and the McGarry Law Office is one of the sponsors of that. I want to thank you because without your help and North by Northwest Productions, and someday there'll be something if they stick with us, right? And a couple of other groups to step up and help underwrite that really makes a difference. So thank you for doing that. I want to say that to
And
you.
the community loves it.
Yeah,
I
we're
should
getting
add that.
we're getting great response. So thanks for doing that.
Well, you're very welcome. I think it's important that people at least know who they're voting for, especially in these nonpartisan races.
Exactly.
Right.
And there are a lot of new candidates that we've never even heard of before and that sort of thing. Hey, but you're not here to talk about that. You're the landlord attorney. What does that mean?
Well, Kent, I've been an attorney since 1990. Since 1998, I believe, I've been a solo practitioner representing landlords in Eastern Washington.
Okay.
Exclusively, primarily doing eviction work, but
Okay.
doing consulting and some education. And so I have an affinity, I think, to landlords.
Right. I've been a landlord in the past, and gosh, it was 25 years ago. And I'm thinking today, things have really tightened up, and there's just so many screws, if you will, on the landlord of what you can and can't do. And I'm not talking so much about the discrimination, but just all that goes on, the official notices that you have to give and everything else. That's a minefield for many landlords, especially new ones to walk through, or those who have been doing it for a while, going, okay, do you know the new law that's just been passed? How do you spend time counseling them?
Well, I'd like to comment on that. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, and
Right.
I tell my clients that you need to look at this business as a business.
Yes.
You're providing housing, which is an important commodity, but it's just a highly regulated business
Yes.
that you need to know, and strict compliance and all these other things, screening applicants, all of these sorts of things. And people usually come to me, of course, when
There's a
something's
problem.
gone sideways.
Yeah.
It's a lot
It's
easier
always
to
more
correct these-
expensive to hire you after.
Well,
isn't it?
that's right. But there are those cases where just circumstances change for people, and you have to do an eviction. But I do find that I can save a lot of money if they had just jumped through a couple hoops prior, and that's when I say I do consulting work. That's some of the stuff that I do.
Right. What's the number one thing facing landlords today?
Oh boy. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a highly regulated industry, and ignorance of the law is no excuse. A lot,
And the judge will tell you that, right?
Well, what you'll find is that a lot of these laws, and they pertain to landlords and to tenants, but a lot of these laws, they're just not intuitive. You
Okay.
have to deal with strict construction, which means you have to jump through the hoops at the right time and the right way, or you run the risk that you'll lose your eviction. And that's the other thing, is that landlords just don't think they could lose an eviction. And by golly, you have the burden of proof. And if you don't do it just so, you can lose.
Yeah. What's today's market like? It's pretty darn sold out, isn't it? I mean, in terms of the occupancy rate.
The last I heard, Kent, the occupancy rate was somewhere in the neighborhood of, the vacancy rate was somewhere in the neighborhood of 2%.
Wow.
So it's been a pretty busy time. Landlords are realizing they don't have to cater too much to really marginal tenants, that it's a pretty competitive business right now.
Right. There's a new ordinance out in the city of Spokane, I believe, where you have, and I'm just asking the question, that you have to include some funding, federal funding or something as part of. Did that pass, and has that taken place? I know enough to be dangerous.
Well, and me too. I haven't looked at it that carefully because, to my knowledge, it has not passed, and it's still going through some various renditions. But that's just another hoop that landlords are going to have to deal with if that does pass in the city of Spokane.
Because the effect is, I can take you because you can say you're going to get government assistance and so forth, which is guaranteed for like 3 months. But then you can't, as a tenant, guarantee that you're going to have income to pay me as a landlord after that.
Well, and
I mean, isn't that part of the challenge?
That's a huge challenge. There's a number of programs right now whereby these are programs to combat homelessness, and they will pay a landlord 3 months of rent. Well, the individual who is homeless, they don't do anything to treat the underlying cause of homelessness to begin with.
Right.
So after 3 months, they're in my office knocking on the door saying, hey, these people haven't paid rent.
Yeah. So then what do you do? Where do you go from there? As they face not getting income, not sure of what their facilities are, what's happening to their facilities, because having been a landlord in the past and having this got to give notice to go look and everything else, you don't know what you're walking into sometimes until they leave, and then it's too late.
Well, I always say that housing is the bottleneck through which all social problems pass.
Yeah.
And that's true. I mean, we deal with everything from mental health issues, drug abuse.
Right.
I think primarily it's people who have just lost a job or whatever, but you're right, it can be a hornet's nest. The way you get started is you give me a call and we'll do up a notice. In most cases, it's a notice to pay rent or vacate.
Right.
We'll go in, take a look at the property.
Is that like a 10-day notice or 3-day notice?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And those are notices I'll tell you what.
And you can't serve it yourself, right?
The landlord can serve the notice themselves.
Oh, okay.
If we have to go the next step, if the tenant doesn't pay the rent or doesn't vacate or doesn't comply
and
or
you're
whatever,
taking them to court,
then we have to file a lawsuit in the Superior Court.
Yes.
And that process typically, through the years, I've gotten it streamlined down pretty well to where we can get from the time we file it to the time the sheriff shows up, usually, notice the lawyerly, usually, takes 2.5 to 3.5 weeks from the time we file it to the time the sheriff shows up to do the eviction.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a lot of times it's a matter of just the client has to understand that if the tenant is 1 month late in rent, it's going to take 2.5 to 3.5 weeks, or if they're 6 months late in rent, it's going to take, So I always tell my clients when they're tired of being a public housing agency and providing free rent, they should give me a call. That's when you need to do the eviction.
Or if they think it's going to happen, maybe they ought to come see you too.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
well, sometimes just a notice with my name, my letterhead, has enough to motivate the tenant to do what needs to be done, whether it's paying rent, vacating, complying, whatever.
Yeah, because at that point they know something serious could be coming. It's more than just...
I've been doing this for a long time. I think specifically my office, and I say 1998, and whereas I will never say I've seen it all, because then you have to be knocking on wood, but you just have to be really in tune to these sorts of things and moving on it quickly. And I know my name, it's a small town. We have our frequent flyers who know me.
I bet,
And I think word gets out on the street sometimes. Oh, you've hired McGarry or whatever, and he pushes these things through. So
he's
you
not
better
not
motivate,
just blowing smoke. He's going to do something with it,
exactly.
Which I think is key. You've got to do that and be known for that. Otherwise, you have to continue to take it to the next step and the next step and so forth, which ends up costing everybody money.
And you need to run your business like a business. So many people provide housing and they get more of a personal relationship with their tenants, and it's a business relationship. People say that they're really nice. Well, of course you're really nice. You're a business person. But if somebody's taking your product from you, it's time to get tough. You don't have to be mean about it. You just have to take some action on it. That's what we do.
I don't know how many times over the years we'd walk in after they've left, the tenants left, and you go, okay, about $2,000 worth of repairs,
damage,
and so forth. Their deposit is next to nothing. And so forth. And the one I always love, and I've got to tell the story, is I get a call. Our heat bill is just astronomical, and blah 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 blah. So I go over, and their front door is wide open. I mean, it's like, okay, it doesn't take brain
Little
surgery.
thing. Yeah.
You can't in December when it's 28 degrees out leave your front door wide open while we're smoking. Well, yeah, okay.
Well,
it's like, come on.
We're not always dealing with members of Mensa when we're doing these eviction types. And again, it kind of goes back to why did they not?
Why are they in
Why are in that position?
Yeah.
Well, for whatever reason, they
Yeah.
leave the door open in January and then complain because it's your fault. that
Yeah,
the
of
heating
course
bill
it
is
is.
so
Yeah,
high.
yeah.
So-
or why did you install electric baseboard heating, which was there when they came in?
Came in.
You know, and
Right.
looked at. Oh Lord, yes.
Well,
And-
I always say, Rome wasn't built in a day, but boy, there's some tenants that could have taken it down in a day. I'm telling you.
I'll bet. Oh boy. Well, thank you, Tom. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, just call my office. Give you my number.
Yeah.
509-327-2637, or send me an email.
Okay.
Thomas at McGarryLawOffice.com. All one word. All the short ones were taken when I got my domain. Or just Google my name,
Okay.
and you'll come to my website. And I've got some forms on the website that you
Okay.
can use,
Excellent.
some resources, various links and whatnot. And the other thing that I, just before I go,
Yes.
I really do want to put a plug in. There are a number of landlord associations
Good
in
point.
Spokane and in the state of Washington. And I have affiliations with the Landlord Association of the Inland Northwest, the
Right.
LLA. That's a local number. You can Google that name and get the phone number. I've also worked with WLA, which is the Washington Landlord Association.
Good.
It's a large organization. These organizations have forums. They have social opportunities.
And what's going on.
Where you can rub elbows with
Yes.
people who may have had the same problem that you're having. And I like to teach a lot of classes. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And through the years, I put on a number of seminars, primarily for landlords, but law enforcement, tenants groups,
Right.
whatever. So this is a situation where you can't have too much information about your business.
Well, and
Again,
especially with a changing market
it's
too.
so regulated. I mean, think about it.
That's-
Strict compliance with all of these laws.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing, there's a good possibility, probably.
It's going to cost you money.
It's going to cost you money. You might have to start over from scratch.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much. Good to have you here.
Yes.
thank
All right.
you.
All right.
Thank
Keep
you,
up the
Ken.
good work.
Collin,
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you.
You too.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Pia Hallenberg right after this. Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live. Kent Adams and Collin Pittmann.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. And we have another guest, though, in the studio.
We haven't seen her for a while.
We haven't. She was on vacation.
I ran away.
Where were you, actually?
I didn't run away. I was just home. I stayed home.
Well, if you watch
time,
Facebook,
so.
she was in, I think, Wallace and
I
what,
did.
Burke?
Nice.
Burke?
Yes, I went to Wallace.
Isn't that a fun little town?
Berg is not, no.
Oh, you didn't like that?
You know what's there?
Leftover mining stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't live there anymore because it's so polluted that you can't live there anymore.
Well, I wasn't going to move there. I just like to visit it.
No, I mean, I went to Wallace. I love Wallace. And
Yeah.
I took a little side trip up to Berg to look at all the mines that I've written about for the last 20 years. And
okay.
then I went home through Kellogg and Pinehurst and, all that, the Silva Valley, and had a beer at the Snake Pit, and because you got to do that.
Yes.
And it's the same old Snake Pit, which makes me very happy because there's new owners, because the old owners are not.
Is that the one kind of up the road and so forth?
The Snake Pit is right off the freeway. Really,
Oh, okay.
It's I can't remember
Is it along the water?
Yes, it's on the river. It's on
Yeah.
it's on the way up to Bumblebee Creek.
Okay.
And now I can't remember the exit is Pinehurst, I think.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
It's the oldest restaurant in Idaho.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
New owners.
is really good is that you got a chance to do what you want to do without having to sit down at a computer, right?
That is true. I stayed away from the computer largely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I have some creative writing projects that I work on, and
Okay.
and I rarely have. When you spend all day writing and you
Yeah.
come home, I don't even want to write.
Busman's
I don't.
holiday,
I
right?
don't even want to email my mom, and I love my mom so much, and it's difficult to get to that. So I
Yeah.
spent some time with that, and I went down to St. Mary's. I went over to Bayview.
Okay.
No, not Bayview. I went to St. Mary's and to Harrison.
Okay.
Harrison is another.
Did you have ice cream in the ice cream place?
Yeah,
at-
right
I
along
did
the water.
not. This
Okay.
time I did not. It was. I opted for a beverage on the patio again,
Oh, okay.
so it was very nice.
Beverage.
She was definitely on vacation then.
Yes, I was. Well, and I have friends who have. I don't have a lake place, but my friends do, and they're very nice about inviting me. So
Well, all right.
Long Lake, Newman Lake,
Good for you.
it was very nice.
Good for you. Hey, I had a chance, Ryan and I had a chance to visit the new offices there, newsroom at Spokesman. Absolutely nice.
Yeah, we clean up nicely.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. No, it really looks nice.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying, is it a nicer place to work in, you think?
It hasn't changed much for me because
Okay.
I've sat in the middle of an open newsroom for the last
Okay.
10 years, I think, at least. And so where I sit doesn't matter much to me,
okay.
really. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I like that things got cleaned up and we painted, and, we have we've got more TVs to look at.
Right,
and
right.
that, excuse me, that kind of thing. But
Right.
I'm one of those people, I can work anywhere. I'm not attached to my desk. When they assign
Like at Denny's or anywhere.
Anywhere. When they assign, when they assign people new workspaces, occasionally, mutiny breaks out, right?
Yes.
And
Oh,
I
yes.
just am not. It doesn't matter that much to me. So
Yeah.
it matters that my computer works and that it's fast. And
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's pretty much it.
Exactly. So you're back on the horse yesterday and out at the Spokane Valley City Council meeting last
I
night.
was, uh-huh.
What was going on?
Oh, boy.
There was a
Yeah,
lot.
oh boy is
there
right.
was a lot in the agenda last night, and I actually didn't stay for the whole meeting because I had to finish a story.
It's called Deadline, right?
I think the biggest. Okay, so there was a lot of different things. Let's start with the farm animal ordinance, which to me has been presented in such a complicated manner that I could not tell you exactly what they're trying to change. This was the second round of feedback and questions, and it seems like they're trying to make it easier for people to have a few, like a goat,
Right.
or something on a big lot, and but I just. Please don't ask me to summarize it because I got lost so many times. So I will make an effort to understand what the heck it is that they're trying to do.
Okay.
So we sat through that. And then there was also an interesting presentation about, the Valley has been trying, the Spokane County Library District runs the library in the Valley.
Right.
And they've been trying to build a new library out
Right,
there. The
right.
bond didn't pass.
Right.
Well, it needed a supermajority. It got more than 50% of the vote.
Right,
but twice it
Bond
didn't
issues
pass.
require 60. Right.
And it's
Twice.
pretty spendy, I hear.
It really was not that spendy.
Really?
No. Mm-mm. not for a library. I just wrote the story, and I can't remember exactly. It was like $20 a year for a $200,000 home for the next 20 years. And so to me, that's not spendy for a library. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So the district was like, okay, we're done. We can't make this happen. It's expensive. What's expensive is to run campaigns. Yes. People don't understand really how expensive it is for a facility like a library to put on a campaign. It costs thousands of dollars, even though they have volunteers. Right. So if you're trying to pass a bond as a public entity, you're trying to pass a bond, it can drain your coffers very quickly. So the district was like, okay, we're done. We're fine. We hear voters. You don't want another library. We're good with that. And there's a piece of land that the library district purchased from the city to build on. That piece of land, by contract, can go back to the city before October for the same amount of money, $839,000. However, the city fathers really, really want this library right across the street from the new city hall. Right. And so the city and the library district has worked together trying to figure out a way to try one more time. I don't think they can do it without a bond, unless somebody swings up and says, here's $20 million. Would you like, can I write you a check? They will still have to pass a bond, but the city is investing. If this all works out, the city council has to, approve it. Right. The city is investing $1.3 million in the project, and so is the library district.
Okay.
So they're like on the same page. They're working in the same direction. They're trying to, get something in on that spot. It'll be on the agenda again on the 24th, I think.
Okay.
So, but that's something people are very interested in, and it was a big deal that they tried twice, and it just didn't work out.
It's tough because you do. I mean, I don't know what the cost for that kind of election is, but I'm going to guess somewhere between $20,000 and $50,000.
Oh, at least.
Yeah,
at least
for an election today, because what many people don't know is that you have to buy time on radio, TV, newspaper, and those kinds of things.
Advertising,
and part of that's regulated because you can't just give to. I mean, there's just so many things with the PDC reporting and all. You can have 1,000 volunteers, but it still costs money to buy on TV.
Yes, and also don't forget that your staff can only do certain things.
Exactly.
The staff can't go out and doorbell. They have to mainly do their jobs. So sometimes
they can provide facts.
Yes,
and that's
pretty much it. And so sometimes you have to hire people to do the surveying. To find out is this at all possible.
Right.
And there was a huge number of volunteers involved in those two campaigns.
And some good people.
Oh, awesome people. Yeah. I mean, people like Chuck Hafner, who just took it on twice in a row and was like, we're going to make this happen.
Right.
And it was so close. It just didn't happen. But the good news, I believe, is that now we're trying again.
So, all right.
Soon.
So it's not down the garbage disposal.
They have they have another 5 years. So they have until 2022.
Okay.
To see if the city council approves it.
Right.
And I think yesterday
it sounds like the city wants it.
The city really wants it. The council was like, they want to know a little bit more, but they still gave their permission to have it put on the agenda, and that's the only hearing, by the way, that it's going to get. So.
Okay. Well, what else is going on out of the city?
Well, there's something called the primary election.
Yes, I've heard about that.
Have you heard of that?
Yes, we have.
So there are...
And the ballots drop starting Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes. So there are 5 open seats.
Yes.
On the Valley City Council. There are 7 seats on the council, so it is highly unusual that we have 5 open seats at the same time.
Right.
It happened because some people quit. It happened because some people were appointed. It happened because somehow the election cycle, which is usually staggered, so it's like 3 people one year and 4 people the next year.
Messed up.
It all got messed up.
Yeah.
So now there's 5 open seats.
Wow.
And there are 13 candidates.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
At least 2 of them have 3 or more candidates. Right.
Yes, the ones in the primary.
Right.
So Pam Haley, who was appointed to the council last year, she has 3 challengers in the primary.
Right.
Ingemer Woods, Rob Sampson, and Angie Beam.
Right.
I have talked to Pam quite a lot, because she's on the council, and I've also talked to Rob Sampson. I've talked to Ingemer Woods a little bit. Angie, I have not really been able to establish a connection with, but I'm going to try again. So I think I'll get her maybe later today.
Okay.
And the other race that has more than 2 is It's not Pam. It is Rod Higgins, who's
Yes.
mayor right now.
Right.
Now, how the mayor thing works in the Valley is that you cannot run for mayor of Spokane Valley, okay?
You're elected by your fellow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Valley elects a city council, and then the 7 council members pick a mayor among them.
Among them.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Kind of like the old Spokane City
it's
used to do.
not unusual. It's
Right.
just how
No.
it's done.
Right.
So Rod Higgins is the current mayor, and he has 2.
Ben Wick.
No. He has now. I'm going to blank.
Okay.
Don't interrupt me.
Oh, sorry.
It's hard to keep all these people straight.
Yeah.
No, he's got two challengers: Christopher Jackson.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
And oh gosh, who was the last person? I just wrote him. Oh, and Al Merkel. I just
Okay,
wrote the
yeah.
story. This is the story I wrote yesterday. Christopher Jackson is the grandson of Sally Jackson.
Yes.
Who's like a
Who's
major.
been around forever.
Yeah, she's a major force of nature in the Valley
Yes, she
and
is.
also
Yes, she
politics.
is.
And Al Merkel is a newcomer to Valley politics. And I think so. I spoke with Rod yesterday, Rod Higgins, the mayor, and he said that he feels like the city is on the right track, and he's very happy with how they've been able to build a new city hall.
Right.
How they passed the shoreline master plan that everybody said they wouldn't be able to get past the Department of Ecology, but they did.
Right.
And then they did a growth management plan that's modeled after the same system, and basically they're both very respective and protective of private property rights, which means a lot to people in Spokane Valley.
Right.
So he feels that it's going pretty well. Al Merkel works for the veterans. He's a contract officer for the Veterans Administration, and he is younger. He's 31, I think, 33, something like that.
Yep, in that range.
And is kind of new to politics, but just want to get involved. And one of the things he said to me when I talked to him the other day is that he was surprised that people still talk about the Sprague couplet.
Yeah.
Remember how the big commotion
Yes.
about that
Oh, yes.
when they built Appleway Boulevard and they made them one-way streets.
Yes.
And how businesses
And there was a discussion of putting it back and all of that.
Businesses were very upset, and so he said, he's really surprised that that's an issue that still comes up. He also said that creating the couplet was really detrimental to the businesses in that area, and I agree with him probably a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of one-way streets, but anyways,
Yeah.
so that was his thing. And Christopher Jackson is just finishing his PhD in psychology.
Oh gosh,
and,
yes.
And he's really enthusiastic about the Valley, and he wants more community events, and he wants people to get together and get to know each other, and get more input from the people who live in the Valley. But other than that, I had a difficult time like squeezing a platform out of him, because he's just really exuberant, I guess. Does that make sense? I don't want him. It's not. Nothing's wrong. It's just.
He's young and enthusiastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of searching for a platform, and it was a little difficult, to pin him down on things. But
did he talk about his teaching swimming?
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. Well, Sally Jackson is an institution. I mean, she taught half the Valley how to swim. I mean, let's face it. So no, it's interesting. It's interesting to see that there's so many relatively younger people. And if they're not younger, they're newcomers to politics, except two.
Which is a reason why the newspaper is doing with Kip Hill and you and others have been doing the stories on the candidates and so forth, which I think is great. And you focus on some of the issues and so forth. On our Meet the Candidates series that we've done, we just focus on the person and who they are. You can find out who a Chris Jackson is and learn and find out about his grandma and where he went to school and his travels and things like that. And so what a great combination of what we're doing and what you guys are doing. So I think it's good.
And there's actually tonight, today is Wednesday, so tonight there's a meeting at Darcy's Restaurant out by the old U City Mall. There's a campaign kind of meeting.
Okay.
It's hosted by the Northwest Grassroots Coalition.
Okay.
It's open to the public, and you can just go. I was trying to find out how many of the candidates had responded, but it wasn't quite clear yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I hosted a debate.
Yes, you did. And you had like 11 out of 12 or 12 out of 13.
I had 12 out of 13 on the stage at the same time. for 2.5 hours.
And then she has to take a 2-week vacation. I think I understand why.
That just put me over there. I mean, that was it. No, I think it went really well. I was worried because when there were so many people, they have to just sit there and wait for the next question, and it gets uncomfortable. But I thought it worked really well, and we had good questions from the audience too.
Good.
That debate is actually on YouTube. So if you go on YouTube and you just type in Spokane Valley debate.
Okay.
If you type in Spokane Valley, not much comes up, okay? So if you type in Spokane Valley debate 2017, it comes up.
Okay,
and
great.
you can watch the whole riveting 2.5 hours
yes.
if you like.
and watch the great host.
Yeah, well, you know, I did my best. It was...
well, Pia, we're running out of time.
Okay.
Okay, want to thank you.
Thank you.
And good to have you back.
Thank you.
And you look like you've got color and everything, like you've actually had
Color
a rest.
always helps.
Yeah. How was it getting across the street?
I had to take a
go around the block?
or around the block or whatever because
Didn't we talk a lot about this last year?
Yeah, it's
deja vu all over again. Right?
You know, it's okay. They're fixing the streets.
Yes.
I just want it to be done.
That's the point.
You know,
that really is the point. Isn't it?
I live in between Monroe and the CSO tank construction, so I get it every day. But
Lord,
it's okay.
All
They're
right.
taking care of stuff.
Yep.
Pia Hallenberg, Spokesman Review, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back and talk about the Spokane Valley Summer Theater right after this.
Washington and Spokane voters are famously independent, voting for the person and not the party. Voters want to know the person behind the policy. Interested in learning more about your candidates? That's why we created Meet the Candidate. Join host Sulani Madsen as she interviews 2017 election candidates for local office on the experiences that have shaped their lives. Meet the Candidate is brought to you as a community service by the Ponderosa Republican Women's Club, North by Northwest Digital, We Believe, We Vote, and the McGarry Law Firm, the landlord's attorney. All Meet the Candidate conversations are posted on our website, SpokaneTalksOnline.com.
All right, we are back in the studio. Spokane Valley Summer Theater is joining us for a little while here, and they're going to talk about their upcoming production, which is The Secret Garden, and that'll actually be at the Central Valley High School Performing Arts Center.
Correct.
Yes. So, I mean, this is going to be a great show, a great family show,
Yes.
actually. So why don't we start off? Why don't you guys say what parts you're playing, first of all, in The Secret Garden?
Sure. I'm playing Lily, and I am dead. I am
Again.
I am there as a ghost. I'm on stage quite a bit, and I am Lily's relation to Noelle is that I'm her aunt.
I will be playing Mary Lennox, and she's very stubborn and sour until she meets friends along
So
the
is this
way.
typecasting?
Yes, very much so. So hard to
She
work
said
with.
yes. What would your parents say, right? I love that.
And I'm playing Archibald Craven, who is the uncle who was Lily's husband,
Okay.
and she is a ghost. And when Mary Lennox shows up on the scene, he looks at her and sees her wife, and it's like, oh, she reminds me of his wife that he is missing.
Yeah. Now, speaking of typecasting, in the last play a few weeks ago,
Yes.
Patsy Cline.
Patsy Cline.
Yes, who is also dead. If you
Okay.
didn't know that.
So what's next year?
Another dead lady, I guess.
I guess.
Who knows?
Oh my gosh.
They're trying to kill me off slowly again.
Well, I think they have.
It takes a few years, but we
Almost.
Noelle, I'm gonna take over.
Yeah.
I told you. I got to ask you, why did you decide to try out and do this? What brought? You're 11.
Yes.
Okay. What school do you go to?
I go to Wilson Elementary.
On the South Hill?
Yes.
Yes, that's our school. Okay, great.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, uh-huh.
Okay, so what made you decide to do this?
Well, a few years ago, about 4 years ago, at Spokane Civic Theater, they did the production of Les Mis. The first audition, and Yvonne A.K. Johnson.
You both were in that, actually.
Yes,
She was my daughter.
Yes.
I was also dead.
You were dead.
Wow.
Yes. So she cast me in my first show.
Yes.
And I think I owe it all to her.
Okay.
And when I found out that she was coming to town, last year I auditioned for Oliver.
Okay.
And I got into that, and when I found out they were doing The Secret Garden, I was like, yes.
This
like,
is made for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Neat.
That is so
and,
neat.
And do you want to do this maybe as a career? Do you
Yeah.
want to keep acting?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if it shows up at home, but the sparkle in your eyes
Yeah.
just
You carry
comes out
yourself very well.
beautifully. I mean, it really does.
It's true.
It shows up on stage, too.
I bet it does.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I got to ask this question. I know I told you
that's okay.
this is your segment, but I got to ask you, how has this helped you at school, doing plays and doing the theater?
Well, as you can see, theater is a community, and we all connect. We're family. It's kind of my home, and at school it really helps me socially.
Okay.
So I can, whenever I present myself on stage, I feel yeah.
It's
Wow.
confidence builder. It builds confidence.
So yeah, confidence. So then I feel just very at school. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's
Yeah.
awesome. No, but I agree with you. It builds your confidence.
Yeah.
It really does. Playing
Yeah.
sometimes silly characters on stage.
Yeah.
Even. So, Andrea, real quick, I want to ask you, one of the characters in The Secret Garden
Yes.
is Collin.
Yes.
And who is playing Collin?
Well, funny you should ask. Collin. Actually, my son is playing Collin, and he's also 11. And Noelle and him actually did Oliver together last year, so they know each
fun.
other.
That's cool.
So, of course, that means they're cousins in the show, and that's very special. To sing a duet on stage with your real son, playing
Yes.
your son. He's not dead, incidentally.
Oh, good.
Because I knew you were
He's
about to
very,
ask
very
that.
much alive.
He's very
Way
much
too
alive.
I had the look in my eyes.
Yes,
didn't
I knew it was coming. So that really is special, and
It is.
and for him too, I think he realizes how a once in a lifetime experience this is going to be. I mean, the mother son playing roles together doesn't.
He
come
will
along.
remember that.
I think
forever.
so too. I think
I
so
mean,
too.
Really.
And I can barely get through the scene without crying, so we'll see if I can make it.
Yeah.
By the time we open.
It's so neat.
Yeah. And Collin, you were out there and you saw us rehearsing.
And I got to see that scene. It's even knowing that you know you are his mom. It was really impactful. I thought.
It is.
And there's so many themes in the show: friendship and love and childhood and forgiveness and health
is the big one.
And healing.
Healing,
yeah.
It really is a family show.
Yes.
Like I think when people think of The Secret Garden, they're like, oh, that's
it's a children's
show.
book.
It's not. It really is.
No, there are some heavy emotion and morals. Some
Michael, do they let you get into very much of this?
I'm on stage quite a bit.
Okay.
Quite a bit.
I just wondered, Yeah. It seems like it's kind of a girl's thing,
Well, it is, but Collin and I hold our own, and we're on stage a lot. Archibald's very much angst, of course, and he probably, with Mary, has the biggest transition.
Oh, really?
Because by the end, based on the book, he takes in Mary Lennox as his daughter, and they're a family. And so that's what Lily has wanted the whole time.
Is this Annie? What?
Right?
No, not Annie.
But yeah.
No, the score is actually one of my favorites. What people don't know about this show is it won the Tony.
Yes.
When it came out, Mandy Patinkin was in the lead role, and it's an extraordinary score. It's Puccini with a little Sondheim thrown over the top, and if you have not heard this score,
it's gorgeous.
You need to come.
Okay,
to
tell me something
gorgeous.
that I'll recognize. Because so many of Broadway plays and so forth, you'll take a song or two.
Come to My Garden?
I would say Come to My Garden, which is our duet, when he finally realized that Lily is there. But I think the young people's song is Wick.
Yeah.
Which her and Christopher Tamayo are extraordinary.
Yes.
In.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's where the garden comes back to life.
Now, as somebody who cannot memorize anything, okay, how hard is it for you?
Well, you're asking the girl that has everybody's lines memorized, not only her
you're,
own.
You're one of those.
She has the entire show.
So, she gives you this look when you don't remember. You're just like,
and you know it.
And she knows the line.
Oh, she knows her lines.
It's exciting. You probably got the script and you were like, I want to memorize the whole thing.
Well, yeah, you just listen to the soundtrack over and over and over again, and it gets in your brain. And then
it's catchy.
Yeah.
So, are mom and dad involved in theater at all?
My mom, when she was younger in high school, she did lots of theater, so she knows about it.
So a couple centuries ago.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
She's in the green room giving you a dirty
I'm in real trouble now. Okay. Any brothers or sisters?
No, I'm an only child.
So you're a spoiled only child. Oh! Well, that's how it should be, isn't it? You know?
Well, I have a cat who gets almost all the attention.
All right. Cat. Okay.
Shared attention.
No,
very cute.
That is great. Well, all three of you, this is exciting. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be starting this next week, giving away some tickets.
Fantastic.
Which is great. What a family opportunity. And this is not. You're all professional doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I don't want to take away from the Civic Theater by any chance because they do marvelous productions, but this is professional.
Well, we are all paid.
You're all paid?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you had to pay them.
No.
Okay.
No,
we
just
Yeah.
But speaking of family, it's really interesting. We have two other husband-wife couples. Am I correct? Just two? Yeah. With the Toads.
And we're kind of stage husband
and
wife.
right.
Isn't it funny how small the theater community really is? How
It
close
really
is.
is.
It really is. I mean, it's incredible.
And yet, whatever discipline you're in, that really becomes the case. I mean, in TV, you know all the.
Not everybody can sing.
Well, that's
you want
true.
me to sing? No. The answer is no.
Okay.
No, we don't want to.
Back at my old camp counselor days and camp director days, I would get the kids to sing loud at campfire because the question I would raise is, do you want to sing louder than me so you don't have to hear me? Or do you want to hear me? There was no choice.
There we go.
There
we go. Well, you do what you have to do.
This is exciting.
Yes.
This is fun.
Yes.
I'm so pleased to see young people involved, and the smile and the twinkle in your eye are absolutely precious. They really are.
Thank you.
And so thanks for doing what you're doing because you're going to bring a lot of joy to folks over the next couple weeks, and it starts in next week.
A week and a half, July 21st,
okay.
we open.
Right.
Yep.
What a great thing to do, because not every one of us is at the lake.
That's true.
And the cost is what? How much? $10?
It's $36. $36.
Okay.
There are discounts for.
But for kids, and it's less.
There's student and
there's
there's a military discount and senior discount, and you visit SV.
She looked at me when she said senior discount.
Senior discount. Yeah. No, I gave my mom the senior discount too. svsummertheater.com. And
Theater with an R-E.
Yes, R-E.
Not the movie theater.
Not the movie theater, stage theater. So SV Spokane Valley Summer
movie
Theater.
Theaters?
Yes, they do.
And it's running till August 6th. So people have
three
some time.
weekends. 3 weekends.
And it's worth coming back in from the lake to see.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck to you. I'll look forward to seeing you out there, okay? I expect you to stop.
You can't miss her. She's on all the time.
I expect you to stop the show and go, "Hi, Ken," and then continue on, okay? I don't ask for anything more,
No.
okay?
Yeah.
All right. You guys are great.
Thank you
what
so
you're
much.
doing,
Thank you very much.
Yvonne,
Thank
and
you,
all
guys.
is wonderful. And you've got Marnie's oldest son who's
Yes,
stage
he's
managing.
our stage manager,
Yeah,
Eric.
and the youngest son, Gunner.
Gunner.
And
He's here
Mom
sometimes.
He's
he is,
Yeah,
and he's actually taken his little iPhone, and they're doing some things
In
over in Europe
Oh,
to bring
wonderful.
back and do a program.
Oh,
Nice.
So we're looking
it's
forward
a
to
small
that.
world.
Yeah.
It's a small
We
world.
may have to do a lot of editing,
Yes.
but we'll see what happens. Anyway,
Thank
hey,
you,
thank you
guys.
guys.
Thank you
This
very
is
much for having
terrific.
us.
You bet.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Say goodbye, Collin.
Goodbye.
Collin.
Bye, Collin.
Goodbye, Collin.